Assalamu alaikum and Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to, I guess this is lecture number 7. We have missed a couple of weeks. Inshallah, I'll try to make up for those missed lectures in this particular week. So let's get started. In today's lecture, we'll talk about operating systems. I guess we have mentioned operating systems briefly, but here we are going to talk about different operating systems in detail. Uh, so we will look at what operating systems are, what do they do, and we'll look at examples of different operating systems. And then after today's lecture, I will cover three different application software. And those three different application softwares are part of the Microsoft Office applications suite. One is the word processor, Microsoft Word. The other is the spreadsheet application, Microsoft Excel. And the last one is the PowerPoint application, presentation software, Microsoft PowerPoint. So I will try to cover the fundamentals or the important aspects of those application softwares in those lectures. And after that we'll go to writing or doing programming in MATLAB or Octave. Okay, so that is what we'll do. In this particular lecture, we'll talk about the purpose of an operating system. I guess we've talked briefly about it before as well. Then we will briefly talk about the startup process and the shutdown options on computers and mobile devices. So I guess you are aware of that. You are using computer devices and computers and mobile devices, and whenever you want to use them, you want to turn them on and off. You are aware of that. So we'll look at that formally. Then we will look at how operating systems provide users with an interface and how do they help them manage programs, manage memories, and coordinate tasks, etc. After that, we will look at how operating systems enable users to configure devices and connect to the internet and monitor performance, etc. So we'll briefly look at all these aspects of operating systems. We'll talk about file management and other tools that are available with operating systems. We'll also mention automatic update in operating systems. I hope you are aware of that. All of you might own, most of you might own mobile smartphone devices, and you're aware that every now and then the operating system of your smartphone it gives you an update. Okay, so you're used to downloading that update and installing that update, and the same is true about desktop operating systems. Then we'll briefly talk about how operating systems enable users to control a network and administer security. So again, you are aware of these different issues. Like all of you must have some kind of PIN code to unlock your mobile phone's screen, or some kind of password to log into your computer. So these are all security measures, and some devices might use face recognition or fingerprint recognition. So these are all different aspects of security that the operating systems provide you. Then we look at different examples of desktop operating systems and their features. We'll also look at server operating systems and how they are different from desktop operating systems. And then we will also look at several mobile operating systems. So mobile operating systems are also very important because nowadays, like most of the people, they use smartphones and tablets. So in fact, the annual sales of these devices is more than the annual sales of personal computers. Okay, so right now these are the most used platforms for computing by users all across the world. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, what are operating systems? So we said that operating system is a software, and it is a systems software, and what it does is it allows you to use your hardware. Without the operating system, you will not be able to use your hardware. So it allows you to use your hardware. It makes your computer hardware accessible to you. And what are the ways that in which the operating system manages, helps you in managing your hardware or helps you in using your hardware? So these are the different ways. It allows you to start and shut down a computer or mobile device. Okay. So when you start it, so it will do all the tasks necessary to get your system going. It will check all the essential devices. It will make them available to you. It will provide you with an interface, with the user interface, and using that interface, you will be able to use your device. You will be able to use the hardware components in your device. It allows you to manage programs. You can install different software uh, on your system, and you can run those software, you can use those software, and all this is possible because of the operating system. Without the operating system, you cannot like install additional software, application software. The first software that you need to have on your computer is the operating system. After that, you can have other software. It allows you to manage memory, RAM. So random access memory is, as you know, it is limited. You might have 4 GB, 8 GB of RAM on your system, 12 GB or 16 GB if you have a very good desktop system. So even with all these gigabytes of RAM that you have, it is still a finite amount of memory, and you might want to run different programs, multiple programs. Okay, so your operating system helps you in managing that memory. So it organizes the programs in a way that you get the best user experience. You do not experience any delays or anything like that. And at the same time, you are able to run as many programs as you want. It helps coordinate tasks. So by tasks, we mean different programs. So you might be running different programs, and you might be running multiple programs, as we'll show later, and you might want to like all those programs to run properly. Okay, so it is you cannot do that manually. The operating system does that for you automatically. It switches between different programs. It runs one program for some time, then another for some more time, then another for some time, then another for some time, and it does all that without involving you. So this is automatic. So coordination of different tasks, different programs, it is done automatically by your operating system. Configuring devices, so you can add new devices, hardware devices to your computer, and it is the job of the operating system to talk to those devices, to communicate with those devices. Okay, so we mentioned, I guess, a special software device driver. We'll talk about it later as well. So the device driver, every device manufacturer, if somebody makes a particular device that is supposed to work with a computer, so that person, that company is also responsible for providing the software device driver that will allow the operating system to talk to that device. Okay, so the operating system installs the like device drivers for all the devices that you have added to your computer, and using those device driver, it configures and uses those devices. It configures those devices for you, and you're then able to use those devices. Whenever we say devices, so starting from your keyboard, mouse, the sound card on your system, the graphics card on your system, the your display, your hard drive. So all these are different devices, and in order to be able to use those devices, you need to have a device driver for those devices. Similarly, monitor performance. It allows you to monitor your performance. It allows you to connect to the internet. So it gives you those tools which you can use to connect to the internet. It provides you with file management software. Okay, so you can manage or organize your data. So you can have a hard drive installed, and you can have you are given the necessary tools to organize data on those devices. Okay, then this is also very important, especially in today's environment, that operating system software must be able to update itself automatically. Why? Because operating system is a huge software, and it is never bug free. Like there may be bugs or errors in that software. Those bugs or errors may not prevent the software operating system from running, but those might allow some hacker or some other person with or organization with evil designs to exploit your device, or to exploit or to compromise the integrity of your device. Okay, so this has happened. You might have heard stories about computers which were using old Microsoft software, for example, Microsoft Windows XP and all that, and those computers were hacked by users, and then they encrypted the data on those computers, and then they demanded ransom for decrypting that data or returning the data to the user. Okay, so this has happened. This has happened. This is a real scenario. So that is why whenever you install an operating system, it must be able to update itself. So for updating itself, it needs to have an internet connection. It needs to connect to the server of the company that provided you the operating system. It will check the servers for any updates, download the updates, and then let you know that these updates are available, and we need to install them. Okay. Similarly, you can use operating systems, a server operating system or a network operating system, for controlling a network. You can create a network of computers, and you can use one computer as a server, and that computer will control that network. So from that server, you can control individual computers on the network. Okay, so a person who has an account on that network might be able to use any computer on the network, might be able to use any resource connected to the network. You might be able to control which user can use which resources and all that. And similarly, again, we talked about this earlier, that operating systems allow you to implement security measures. So you have all these logins and passwords, and face recognition and fingerprint recognition, and all pin codes and all these things, which help secure uh, your computer. Okay, so this is basically the same thing in a graphical way. So these are different functions of operating systems. You can from the very simple starting and shutting down a computer, to give providing you a user interface and managing programs. This must be familiar to you, all of you, to allow you to coordinate tasks and configure devices, like you are adding a USB drive, and it is automatically detected and you're able to use it. Okay, so this is plug and play. You plug the device and you use it directly. You can establish an internet connection, look at all the connections available to you and all that. You can do automatic update. Okay, you can change the settings for that, and you are provided with file management uh, capabilities. So you can look at all the files on your storage devices, you can move the files around, you can encrypt those files, you can password protect your folders and all that. Okay, so these functions are basically provided to you by the operating system. So again, whenever we talk about computing devices, so they will include both the desktop computing devices and the smartphones and tabs as well. So this is an iPhone. Okay, so the iOS allows you to power on your turn on or turn off your mobile device. So you have this power button, you press it, and then something. If it is off, it will turn on. It will load the operating system and start executing it. Okay, and if it is and the operating system on these devices is in the form of a firmware. Okay, so it is permanently stored on ROM. It is permanently stored on ROM. So whenever you buy a smartphone and whenever you ask, okay, इसकी कितनी मेमोरी है, ये 64 GB है या 128 GB है या 256 GB है या 16 GB है, So that is basically the size of your ROM, okay, the permanent read-only memory. So there is RAM as well, but whenever you are buying or looking for a tab or a smartphone, you rarely ask about the RAM. RAM के बारे में कोई इतना नहीं पूछता. People are interested in the storage available to them, जिसको वो permanently use कर सकते हैं, ठीक है? So you are interested कि मैं उसमें कितनी वीडियो स्टोर कर सकता हूँ या कितने images स्टोर कर सकता हूँ. So you are interested more in the size of the RAM. So the RAM is used, it is in the size of the ROM. So the ROM, it is used to store the operating system as well. So if it is an iOS device, the iOS operating system is permanently stored on the ROM, and that is why it is called firmware as well. So part of the ROM is used as a firmware, which permanently stores your operating system. So the operating system is then loaded from there into the RAM, and then it is executed by the processor on your smartphone. Okay? And part of the ROM is then used for by the user, by you. You can use that part of the ROM, the remaining part of the ROM, for storing, for downloading apps. You can download new apps and store them on your ROM. You can save images and videos and your text messages and all that data on the remaining part of the ROM. Okay. This interface is also familiar. You can turn on a personal computer. You have this power button. You can use it to turn it on and off. And this is for a laptop. So this is how you turn on. And when you turn it on, the operating system is loaded into the RAM. Okay. Here on a desktop and on a laptop, mostly it is loaded from the hard disk drive. If they have a solid state device, then it is, and the operating system is installed on that SSD or solid state device, then it is loaded from that device. Otherwise, it is loaded from the hard disk drive. Okay. So when you turn it on, so you have other options as well. So you can use it, use the operating system, and when you don't want to use the operating system, so you can put the device or your system into other power modes. Okay, and these power modes are provided to you by the operating system. So one is the sleep mode. Say if you have a laptop and you uh, put the laptop's lid down, or if you have a desktop and if you look at your keyboard, so there would be a sleep or hibernate or power off buttons. There would be these three buttons if you look at the keyboard. So when you press the sleep button, so you can put your computer to sleep. What does that mean? Sleep mode means that all the open documents and programs that you're running or apps that you have, they are stored in RAM. So they are still loaded in RAM. These documents and these programs that you have opened or that you're running, they remain in RAM. Okay, whereas all the other functions, they are turned off. The display would be turned off, the hard disk would be turned off, and other devices that may be connected to your computer, those devices would be turned on, and the computer or CPU would be placed in a low power state, so it will consume low power. Okay, but remember, the programs and the data that you have, it remains in RAM. So for example, if your system does not have battery, it's a desktop computer system, it does not have a UPS, uninterrupted power supply, and power goes down. When power goes down, so you will lose all your data and programs. Okay, not permanently. The data will be lost permanently. If you have any open document, you have not saved that document to the hard drive, and you left it like that, and you put your computer in the sleep mode, so the data will be saved in the RAM. You have not saved it to the hard drive. So when the power goes off, RAM is volatile. RAM is volatile. Okay, it does not permanently retain its contents. So when power goes down, you will lose the data that is in the RAM and that has not been stored on the hard drive. Hard drive is non-volatile. Similarly, these programs, you'll need to reload these programs. You'll need to run them again. Okay. Now there's another option available to you, that is hibernate mode. Hibernation is a more safe option. Now what does that do? All the open documents and running programs and apps, all these are stored on the hard drive. Okay, stored on the hard drive. before putting the computer in the hibernate mode, in the low power mode where everything is switched off. Okay, so when you come out of the hibernate mode, whether you lose power in between or not, it doesn't matter. Okay, so when you want to come out of the hibernate mode, usually you have to press the power button once again, and then your computer comes out of the hibernate mode. It loads all the documents and programs that you were running before going into the hibernate mode. It loads them all into the RAM, so you don't lose any information. So you should be aware of all these power options that are available to you. Next, um, every operating system, it gives its user a user interface, an interface to control the operating system or the behavior of the system. So using that interface, you can instruct the computer what to do and what not to do. And you can look at the output or information that is being displayed to you. So there are two types of operating systems, as we mentioned before. One is a graphical user interface, or GUI. The GUI, in short, it is called GUI. GUI. Okay. So this is a graphical user interface. The interface that I'm using right now, this is a graphical user interface. I have a pointer. I have these menus and buttons. Okay. I have these graphics on the screen. We have menus to interact with, images to interact with. This is a graphical user interface. Okay, this is how a graphical user interface looks like. This is the Windows graphical user interface of the Windows operating system, and this is the graphical user interface of the Android operating system. Okay, so all of you must be familiar with, and some of you might have come across the MacBook. So this is the graphical user interface of Mac OS. Okay, so in graphical user interface, you have menus, you have buttons, you have bars, you have icons, you have icons or tiles. Uh, different terms are used to name these objects, but the point is that these are all graphical objects. You see them in the form of small images on your screen. You tap them, you touch them, you click them, and then something happens. Okay, that is the example of that is what happens in a graphical user interface GUI. Then you have the command line interface. Command line interface, all you see is such a black screen. This is usually called a command prompt. Okay, this is usually called a command prompt. This is your command prompt. This is where you enter a command. So you have to remember commands. You have to enter a command exactly as it is, and then the operating system will execute that command. Okay, so nowadays most of the operating system that you'll come across, those operating systems, this is the command line interface. It is also called the shell, the bash shell of a Linux operating system. So Linux is another operating system that we'll talk about. So this is the command line interface for the Linux operating system. One of the command line interfaces for Linux operating system. In Windows, we also have a command prompt. Okay, so let me show you how to run that. I guess I have shown it once, but let us go and check it out again. This is the graphical user interface. Okay, I have minimized it. So here you can see this is a ribbon. Okay, so in a ribbon we have different tabs. This is one tab, this is another tab, this is another tab, this is another tab. Each tab has different commands. Okay, and those commands are represented by buttons, and you can go and click on those buttons and do something. Okay, this is the title bar. Okay, this is the minimize button, this is the restore button, this is the close button. So this is graphical user interface. This is a start button. You can click on it and you'll get the start menu. This is a start menu. These are tiles. Okay, so usually these are different apps available on Microsoft Store. Okay, so you can click on these apps and you can see, this is how the operating system helps in managing system resources. So now when the battery is going down, it displays a warning. Okay, your battery is running low. So I have connected it to the power outlet, and so this is how the operating system helps you. Now we were talking about using the command prompt. So here you can, like, this part of it you can use to search for something. And if you have already searched for something, that will appear here. So I have already searched for command prompt, but if you want to do it again, you can print CMD. Okay, so you will come across this app command prompt. Just click on it, and this is what you'll get. Okay, so this is the command prompt. This is the uh, DOS command prompt. DOS is shortcut for disk operating system. Okay, so disk operating system was the first operating system that was launched by Microsoft. It became very popular, and still to this day, even all these Windows operating system, they come with a DOS prompt. Okay, so prompt is somewhere where you can enter a command. So this is a command prompt for DOS. So here you can enter DOS commands. For example, one of the DOS commands is dir. If I want to know the list of files and folders inside the current directory where I am, so I can use the dir command. Okay, so it will show you all the files and folders in this particular folder. Okay, so this is if I want to move out of this folder, I can use the change directory or cd command. Cd, and if I say cd and these two dots, so I will move one directory up. Okay, so see, if you look at the prompt, I was in the folder C users Shah Khan, and when I said CD and I entered these two dots, so I specified that I want to go one level up. So I came here to the users directory. Okay, then you can check the list of files and folders here. And if you look at the list of files, for there are two folders, one with the single dot and the other with the double dot names. Okay, these are kind of names of the folders. So the double dot, if you change into the double dot, if you say cd double dot, so you will move one level up. If you say cd single dot, you will stay in the same folder. Okay, so these are shortcuts that allow you to go one level up and stay in the same directory. If we want to go to another directory here, say I want to check what's inside the public directory, so I can say change cd public, and I go into public. Here you can see that I just wrote PUBLIC. I was not careful about the capital P. So DOS and Windows, they are not case sensitive. These operating systems are not case sensitive, but Linux is case sensitive. Unix is case sensitive, and I guess Mac OS is also case sensitive. I'm not sure, but I guess it is because all these are more or less based upon Linux and Unix. Okay, so here we are, and then you can say dir, and then uh, you can get the list of documents here. Okay, there's another command, exit. uh, so if I say exit, so I'll get out of the DOS prompt. So this was basically a taste of command line interface. Okay, this is what a command line interface is, and you have one command line interface in Windows as well. So I hope like I've made the point. Okay, so let's move forward. So in command line interface, like you have to be you have to be careful. You need to remember the exact spelling, form, and punctuation of a command. Okay, we use very simple commands. We did not um, type in different options for that command. But in any case, if there are commands which have those multiple options, you need to be very careful. You need to enter or use those commands exactly as they are. Okay. Okay. So, operating system, one of the most important functions of operating systems are that they handle different programs for you. So you might be running different programs, and the operating system handles those programs for you. What do we mean by handling? By handling, we mean it allows you to load those programs into RAM. It allows you to run those programs, and it does all that in a way that increases your productivity. Okay, so you can get the most out of your operating system. So let us first get to know different terms. One is single tasking uh, and multitasking. Single tasking means you can run one program at a time. Okay, so the old operating systems, they were single tasking operating systems. They were not multitasking operating systems. Okay, so you could run only one program at a time. If you were printing a document, that is the only thing you could do. You would be printing that document, and you could the computer could not do anything else. Okay, but right now we have multitasking operating systems. That means we can run multiple programs at the same time. So say for example, right now I'm running at least two application softwares. One is Microsoft PowerPoint, where in which I'm like presenting this document. The other is say OBS Studio, in which I'm recording my screen. Okay, so these are at least two programs that I'm running. So this one is recording, and this one is helping me present. This is multitasking. I also have the Firefox on. I also have Windows Explorer on. Okay, and if we go into more detail, if you click on this taskbar, this is a taskbar. This bar here at the bottom of the window, this is a taskbar. It basically test shows you the tasks that you're currently running. So currently I'm running Firefox, Microsoft PowerPoint, and OBS Studio. These are tasks that I'm currently running. Okay, so but these are the foreground tasks. These are what we see, what we can see in the foreground. There are many tasks that are being run in the background. Okay, so you can go to Task Manager. This is one of the, if you right click on the taskbar, so you can go to the Task Manager. Task Manager will allow you to see at all the tasks that you are running. Okay, so the computer uses this term processes for that. So if you look, the apps that we are running are Firefox, and it has 5 tabs, I guess. Microsoft PowerPoint, OBS Studio, Task Manager, Windows Explorer. Okay, so these are the different tasks that we are running. And then there are some other 71 background processes that are basically being run. Okay, so there might be, say for example, Adobe Acrobat update service. So it will also be periodically communicating with the Adobe servers for checking for updates and all that. Okay, so there would be plenty of services. There would be the anti-malware or antivirus process that would be running periodically to check if your computer is being infected with any viruses or malware or something like anti-malware service executable. Okay, so you can see there would be plenty of services that would be run by the operating system. Some services you might be able to understand, some you might not be able to understand. Say for example, say here we have iTunes also installed in this system, and iTunes is also looking for updates or things like that. Okay, so the point is that this operating system is a multitasking operating system. At any given time, not just one but tens of processes or programs are being run. And this is another function of your operating system. It gives you it shows you the performance or the availability or the utilization of your resources. So right now, say we are using 8% of the CPU time. Okay, so processor utilization is 7%, 6%, 8%. So more than 90% of the time your CPU is sitting idle. Right now we are using 46% of our memory RAM. Okay, so more than half of our RAM is available for doing things. Right now we are using our disk 1% or 2% of the time. So the disk is, say, 98% of the time it is free. It does not do anything. We are not using the network right now. We are not maybe downloading or uploading anything. I have the internet browser open, but I'm not doing anything there. So here there's 0% activity. And if you look, we have a GPU, and the GPU is active most of the time. So why? It is the graphic processing unit. And right now I'm recording my screen, so the GPU is busy. Uh, you can also look at performance here as well. This is your CPU utilization over time. This is your memory utilization over time. This is your disk utilization over time. Okay. This is Wi-Fi. This is GPU utilization over time. So you can see for which particular purpose the GPU is being used. You can see all that. So these are the functions. These are basically the functionalities that the operating system provides you. Okay. Uh, about some of them we'll be talking later on, but you should be aware of these things. Some tasks they run in the foreground and some tasks they run in the background. So right now Microsoft PowerPoint is running in the foreground. This is what you can see, foreground. Background, you cannot see things that are running in the background. So all the other processes they are running in the background. But right now, this is what you can see. Some operating systems are single user and some are multi-user. What do we mean by that? Say right now I'm using my laptop. My laptop has the I guess Windows 10 and it is the professional or home edition. I'm not sure, but it is basically meant for a single user. Multiple users can use this system. We can create accounts for multiple users, but those accounts would be like different profiles for those users. Okay, so at any given time, one of the users might be using this system. If this system is connected to a network, if my laptop is connected to a network, and one of the users who is allowed or eligible to use this system, and that user wants to connect to the system, then that user can connect to the system. Okay, provided I have enabled remote login and all that. So in that sense, this operating system is a multi-user operating system. Usually all the operating systems that we have mostly nowadays, they are multi-user operating system. But specifically say Linux, Unix, Windows Server, they are multi-user operating systems, and they can also be managed, used to manage a network. So you can not just you can't just manage multiple users, but you can also manage multiple computers using those operating systems. Okay, so this is what a single user and multi-user operating system means. A single user operating system allows only a single person to use that operating system at any given time. A multi-user operating system allows multiple users to use that operating system at any given time. So those multiple users must be physically connected to that device. Okay, in some way, either through a network or directly. Okay, so usually if you want to connect multiple users, so you need to use a network. Okay, because physically, like every computer usually comes with a single mouse and keyboard. Okay, so in order to connect multiple users, so you need to have a network, and those users must be able to access that computer using a network. And this is how mostly things happen nowadays. So if you're working for an organization and you have a computer in that organization, and you are working remotely from some other location, and you want to access your computer, so you can remotely log in to that computer. Or if you have a server in that organization, and not just you but other people in that organization also need to access that server, so all of you need to remotely log in to that computer. Okay, uh, and you can find other examples of such systems as well. So for example, if you go to any ATM, so every ATM is basically a small computer, and it comes with a limited interface. So you have a very small keypad available there, and you have maybe a touch screen or a few buttons available there to select certain options. And all these ATM machines, they are connected to the bank's server. They're connected to the bank's server. So the operating system installed on the bank server is a multi-user operating system, and all these ATM machines are different users. Okay, so they get the login information from the customers. They send that information to the bank server, verify that, and then they make transactions. They allow the users to make transactions into their accounts. So all those accounts are managed centrally. So this is also an example of a multi-user operating system environment. Okay, so this is how an operating system like looks. So this is, say for example, this is, I guess, Microsoft Word. So if you're working on Microsoft Word, this becomes your foreground application, and all the other applications they go into the background. Okay, so let me show you again. So right now we are working in Microsoft PowerPoint. So this is in the foreground, and the other applications, they are running in the background. The Task Manager is running in the background. The OBS Studio is running in the background. Firefox is running in the background. And along with all these applications, Windows Explorer is running in the background. There are tons of other applications that are running in the background. Okay, as we found out in the Task Manager. So this is basically Task Manager that I showed you. So operating system manages multiple programs and processes while you use a computer or mobile device. So any modern computer or mobile device, it comes with a modern operating system that allows you to use multiple programs and processes. Okay, so we looked at that. When you are using multiple applications, each application needs the RAM to store its data and all that. So there is a chance that you might run out of random access memory. Okay, so the random access memory, it is limited in size. So some part of it is permanently reserved for the operating system. Some part of it might be reserved for the antivirus software that also runs at all times. And then you might want to run some other softwares. Okay, you might want to run your browser. In the browser, you might be opening lots of tabs. Each tab, when you open a new tab, or when you open a web page, and that web page has videos and images, so all those things must be loaded into your RAM in order to be able to show it to you. The computer has to load it into the RAM. So this takes up memory. And then you might be using other software. You might be doing photo editing, you might be using PowerPoint, Excel, or any other software. So all these softwares, they take up RAM, and you can run out of RAM. This is a possibility. So what happens then? Like, what would your computer uh, do in that situation? So your computer or operating system, it does memory management for you as well. And the memory management is used to optimize your computer's internal memory. Its use is optimized. The memory is used in the best possible way. So one of the ways in which your computer basically helps you get the most out of your system is through the mechanism of virtual memory. Okay, now what do we mean by that? So virtual memory is one way in which your computer can make up for uh, small RAM size. So if you have, even if you have a large amount of RAM, there would always come a time when that RAM would not be enough for you. Okay, so say you have 8 GB, 16 GB RAM, and 16 GB RAM might sound a lot, but if you are using multiple softwares, and those softwares are very heavy on RAM, they require a lot of memory. And if you're using, for example, CAD software and all that, so they require a lot of RAM. And if you're doing some complex drawings or some testing your models and all that, so they will need a lot of RAM. And there is a possibility that you will run out of RAM. Okay, so in that case, what would your computer do? What would your operating system do? So one of the ways in which your operating system uh, makes up for a small size of RAM is by using virtual memory. Okay, so it is called virtual RAM. Basically, it is virtual RAM. Why is it called virtual? Because it is not real RAM. Instead, the operating system, it creates an illusion that you have not just 16 GB RAM, but you have, say for example, 32 GB RAM on your system. Okay, the 16 GB is your actual physical RAM that is installed on your system. These are in the form of DRAM chips that you have installed on your motherboard. Okay, the remaining 16 GB RAM is virtual, it is not real. How does the operating system create that virtual RAM? What it does is it basically uses a part of your hard drive. A part of your hard drive is used as a swap file. Swap file, or in Windows it is called a page file. Okay, so a part of your hard drive is used for as a swap file or as a page file. What does that mean? So the page file or the swap file, it is basically used as RAM. Okay, but it is used as virtual RAM. Okay, so what do we mean by that? What we mean by that is this is your actual physical RAM. Okay, every program, if it has to be executed, it needs to be in this physical RAM. But this physical RAM is limited in size. Okay, so if you are loading a lot of programs, you will run out of space here. You will run out of space here. So what does your operating system do? It creates a swap file on your hard drive. Okay, so some of the programs, for example, right now I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint and OBS Studio. These are the two programs that we are using right now. The browser, Mozilla Firefox, we are not using it right now, and the Windows Explorer, we are not using it right now. So say for example, the operating system, it is intelligent enough to know which programs are you using right now. So those programs, they are given space on the physical RAM, and the programs that you are not using right now, those programs are taken out of the physical RAM and they are stored on the swap file. Okay? And say for example, if I want to go and use those programs which are on the swap file, which are on the hard drive, okay, which are stored in the virtual memory. Say for example, I get out of PowerPoint and I click on the browser. Okay, so say for example, I clicked on the browser. So what happens? The operating system will go. When I click on the Mozilla Firefox icon, the operating system will search for Mozilla Firefox code here in the RAM, physical RAM. It will not be available here. So it will go to the swap file and it will load Mozilla Firefox from the swap file back into the RAM. And which program will go out to make memory for, to make space for or room for Mozilla Firefox? The Microsoft PowerPoint code, which I just minimized and which I may not be using, or some other program, there are algorithms for that. ठीक the operating system determines which program needs to be moved out of the RAM, physical RAM, and put into the swap file. So there are algorithms for doing that, and the algorithms ensure that you get the best performance and the best productivity. Okay. So one program is moved out of the RAM into the swap file, and the one that you want to use right now, and it is on the swap file, it is loaded from the swap file into the physical RAM. Okay, this is how it happens. Okay, so this is how the operating system uses virtual memory to make up for limited size on the physical RAM. Okay, so you have the physical RAM, which is the actual RAM installed on your system, and you have some virtual memory, which is basically a reserved area on your hard drive, and you use both these spaces to run your programs. Okay, so you can read these steps, step 1 and step 2, and you'll get the idea. Similarly, the operating system, it also determines the order in which tasks are to be processed. Okay, so and again, it gives you it does that in a way to ensure the best experience, the best user experience. Okay, so there is another example in which, for example, we have a server computer. Okay, and that server computer, different users are connected to this server computer. Okay, so whenever we use the term server is basically a computer that provides services to different client computers. Okay, so there are different client computers that are connected to this server computer, and one of the service available on this server computer is the print service. So there is one printer, and that printer is being shared by multiple people or multiple clients, and every client sends documents to print here. Okay, so which documents should be printed first and which should be printed later? The server or the operating system on the server manages that. Okay, so usually it is a first come first served system. Okay, so first in first out system, or first come first serve uh, system. So the users, they print the document. When they press the print button on their document, the document is basically spooled. What do we mean by spooling? That document is copied into a memory. The memory might be here on the server. It definitely first reaches the server. Then the server might print into the might copy into the printer's buffer. Every printer comes with some memory. Usually it is around 8 MB, 16 MB, or 4 MB. So newer printers have more memory, and that means you can spool bigger files in here. Spool is basically temporarily storing documents in a buffer media. Okay, spooling increases both processor and printer efficiency by placing documents to be printed in a buffer media before they are printed. Buffer media is a media that is a storage media between two different devices. So one, we have the printer, and then we have the computer. So the computer copies a document into the printer's memory. Okay, and the printer then takes the document from its memory and prints it. So कंप्यूटर का जो काम है वो ज़रा कम हो जाता है. It just copies the document to be printed into the printer. It does not need to copy it line by line or bit by bit. ठीक है, so it does it once, and then the printer manages the rest. Okay, so that is what basically spooling does. But this is an example के uh, operating system determines in which order different tasks are to be processed. And these are different printing tasks or print jobs that have come from different computers connected to this particular server. And the operating system on this server knows which task has to go first and which has to go later. Okay? And this is also, we have this additional information. I guess maybe you know some of them, some of these things, that when you're trying to print a document, so at times you might see here a message spooling if the document is too large. So the application software, whether it is Microsoft Word or anything else, it takes some time in copying that document to the printer's memory. That memory can be on physically on the printer, or it can be a part of your RAM, or it can be a part of your hard drive. It can be anywhere. So that is managed by the operating system. Okay. Now, when you have different devices connected to the operating system, as we mentioned earlier, you can connect different devices, and the operating system allows you to communicate and use those devices. And every device, it comes with a software called a driver or device driver. So device driver is a small program that allows the operating system to communicate with a specific device. So if you have a printer, the printer must have a driver. And using the printer driver, the operating system will communicate with the printer. If you have mouse, it comes with a driver. For some devices, for some standard devices, for example, mouse, keyboard, display, there are standard device drivers that are already installed on your computer. And any physical device is supposed to uh, be able to communicate you with the computer or operating system using that simple standard device driver. But if you want to get the other specific functionalities available in that device, you need to install its own device driver. Okay, so the point that you need to remember is you need a device driver, which is a small program or software to communicate uh, with a specific device. Okay, your operating system needs that device driver. Then we have some standard drivers. Okay, so some devices, like, which are very common. Every computer has a keyboard, every computer has a mouse, every computer has a display device. So there are standard drivers for standard display devices, for standard keyboards, for standard pointing devices. And all the device manufacturers of those particular devices, their hardware is compatible with those drivers, okay? But they have their own driver software as well, and if you want to get the best out of those devices, you need to install those particular device drivers. Then we also talked about plug and play. Plug and play is basically like a trademark or a trademark technology that was introduced by Microsoft. And the idea of this technology was that you should be able to plug any device into your computer, and you should be able to use that device directly. Okay. So Microsoft, in order to enable this facility, Microsoft Windows, it comes up with a lot of pre-installed device drivers. So there are a lot of device drivers for different devices. You don't need to install device drivers for those devices. Microsoft Windows will automatically search for that device driver and install it for you, and then you would be able to use that devices. This is what plug and play means. Okay. Okay, so performance monitor, again, we have looked at the task. This is the performance activity monitor for Mac. We looked at the task manager for Windows, and as you could see, like it gives you different options. You can look at performance of your system. You can look at the utilization of different devices on your system. You can also look at the currently loaded programs or the processes that are being run by your computer uh, at the moment. Okay. It also gives you more details like which process is loaded by which particular user. Okay. And other information as well. So every operating system comes up with tools like this. So we looked at task manager, Windows task manager. So I hope like you know how to get there. I showed it to you previously, so we don't need to repeat that. Similarly, operating systems, they have the tools and means to connect to the internet. Okay, so you can use them to connect to the internet. So on Windows, you can create connection to an internet. Okay, connection to the internet. So for the Wi-Fi, it is easy. I guess everybody knows that, but let me show you. So this is your taskbar, and in your taskbar, this area, it is the system notification area. It was called system tray as well. Okay, so if you click here, so you can see we have this icon for Wi-Fi connectivity. So you can click on this icon, and then you will get to know which Wi-Fi networks are available to you. You can disconnect this one and connect to another one. Okay. uh, Similarly, you can go to network and internet settings, and then you can look at the different settings available to you. You can create a new network there. Okay. So this is your right now the network status is that we are connected to the internet. We can change these properties, show available networks. We can change the adapter options, the Wi-Fi adapter that is installed on this system. So we can change this thing. We can change sharing options for this device, and we can establish other connections. So this is Wi-Fi. Okay, and this is for Wi-Fi. This is for Ethernet. We are not connected. Okay. uh, we do not have a dial-up connection. We can set up a new dial-up connection. Dial-up connection means using a modem. So this was the case in the old days. So right now, mostly people don't use those dial-up connections, but you still have this option available to you. We can create a VPN, virtually, I guess it is virtually private connection. So VPN is used for security. You guys must be aware of VPN. So if there is a banned website or thing like that, so you use VPN in order to access that. VPN means that your connection from Pakistan is made private. It goes into some other country's server, and then that server makes another connection on your behalf to the website of your choice that is banned in Pakistan. So that our web traffic, it goes through another server. Okay, so you connect to some private server. That private server connects to the website of your choice, and the traffic from that website goes through that private server. So between you and that website, there's another server. So for example, that server is in uh, uh, say UK. So those people who say who live in China or who have lived in China, they want to use WhatsApp or Facebook. So WhatsApp and Facebook, they are banned in China. Like you cannot use them in China. Okay, I guess I'm not sure, but Google. I know about Gmail. You cannot use Gmail in China, and I guess Facebook and WhatsApp, they're also the same. So you cannot use them in China. So what do you do if you want to use them in China? So you use VPN, okay? So you install a VPN software on your phone, or you create a VPN connection on your desktop, and that VPN connection is made with with a server in some country where you can access Gmail or Facebook and all these things. So once you establish a private connection, it is encrypted. That private connection is encrypted, so people cannot know like what is going on in between this connection. So that server in another country, it basically accesses Gmail and WhatsApp and Facebook for you. Okay. Now it is good, but VPN services, they do not come for free. Some people might charge you, and there is always the risk that your data is basically going through a server, somebody else's computer, and they can always look at your data. Okay, so you can use these different things to establish or create new connections and all that. So we won't go into a lot of details, but you should know about all these things. Similarly, whenever you want to connect to the internet, so you can create a new connection, and when you're setting up a new connection, this is the interface that you'll see. Okay, let me get the laser pointer. Similarly, as we talked earlier, operating systems, they have this automatic update option. This is for I guess a Samsung device, and this is where the Samsung device gives you different options to update different components of its operating system. So you can update the firmware, you can update any Samsung application software that you've installed. You can update the preferred roaming list, etc. So this is something that has to do with phones, and it might not be of that concern in desktop computers, but in desktop computers we also have uh, automatic updates. So if you search here Windows Update, okay, so you can go and you can look at Windows Update settings and all that. Okay, so this is Windows Update settings. So here I can check for updates. It says you are up to date, last check yesterday. So it basically keeps on checking for updates every now and then, and if there are updates available, it will inform me. Those updates will appear here, and it will ask me to install those updates or restart if a restart is required. And there are other different options that I can set for Windows updates. So any modern operating system, it will have this facility to automatically update itself and all that. Okay, so operating systems, they also provide users with these tools. File Manager. Okay, File Manager is used for file management, organizing your files on the system. Search, we just use search a couple of times. So you can search for programs in Windows Store, you can search for programs installed on your computer, you can search for files on your computer. Image Viewer, so it also comes like a standard component. Any images you can view directly. Uninstaller, if you've installed a computer a software an application software on your operating system, you are also able to uninstall it. You must have experienced that with your smartphone as well. So your smartphone, you can add or install apps, and you can uninstall apps. Okay, this cleanup, this cleanup comes with your operating system as well. With your desktop operating system, it also comes on your phones as well. And then there's disk defragmenter. So I hope like you have seen these tools, but let me show you. If you right click on this PC and you go to say properties, okay, so you can wait, look at different properties, then go for device manager. So you can look at the different devices on your system. Okay, so these are different devices, hardware devices installed on our system. Okay, disk drive. Let me see disk drive. So this is our hard disk drive. If you right click here, let us go and check its properties. Okay, so these are the properties, policies, volumes. So it may take time to populate this. You can put populate and then it will get all these properties and populate here. Okay, driver is up to date, details, any events, failure. Okay, so these are different events. This is an event log for this device. Okay, I didn't want to see this thing. I wanted to see something else. Okay. Okay. So let's get into our PC and right click on some drive. Say this is E drive. Let us right click on it and let us say go to properties. So if you look at the properties of individual drives here, so you have, say for example, disk cleanup available here. Okay, so you can run this tool, disk cleanup, on this particular drive. Okay, and then it checks out and it sees if there are any useless or redundant files. It doesn't find any, you just cancel it, no problem. There are other tools. You can do error checking on this, and there is also disk defragmenter available to you. Okay, so disk defragmenter, like you can look for it when you store huge files on your hard drive and there is not a contiguous space to store that file on your hard drive, then the file is fragmented. Okay, the file is divided into different pieces and different pieces are stored on different parts. इसकी मिसाल आप यूँ समझ लेना कि आपके घर में ऑलरेडी बहुत सारा सामान फर्ज के पड़ा हुआ है और आप कोई बड़ी सी चीज़ खरीदते हैं और अब उस बड़ी चीज़ को रखने के लिए जगह नहीं है, यानी एक जगह पे आप उसको नहीं रख सकते। तो आपके पास दो ऑप्शंस हैं। पहली ऑप्शन ये है कि आप उस चीज़ को टुकड़े टुकड़े करें और उसको आप मुख्तलिफ जगहों पे, एक टुकड़ा एक जगह पे, दूसरा टुकड़ा दूसरी जगह पे, तीसरा टुकड़ा तीसरी जगह पे उस पर रख दें। ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम यूजुअली इसी तरह करता है। जब आप कोई बड़ी फाइल सेव करते हैं ऑन योर ड्राइव एंड देयर इज़ नॉट enough space to place that file in a single contiguous area, लगातार एक जगह पे उसको आप नहीं रख सकते, तो आपका जो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम है उस फाइल के टोटे बना देता है, फ्रेगमेंट कर देता है उस फाइल को। ठीक है, एक टोटा एक जगह, दूसरा दूसरी जगह, तीसरा तीसरी जगह, एक फ्रेगमेंट एक जगह, दूसरा फ्रेगमेंट दूसरी जगह, तीसरा फ्रेगमेंट तीसरी जगह। तो उसका फ़ायदा क्या होता है? उसका फ़ायदा ये होता है कि वो फ़ाइल आप स्टोर कर लेते हैं, ठीक है? नुकसान ये होता है कि वो प्रोसेस स्लो हो जाता है। उस फ़ाइल को जब आप एक्सेस करते हैं तो आपको बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम लगता है क्योंकि वो 10 जगहों पे तो उसको सेव किया होता है। तो उसका तरीक़ाकार क्या है? आप यूजुअली कैसे करते हैं? आप फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल एक डबल बेड खरीद लेते हैं, तो ऐसा तो नहीं करते कि उस डबल बेड के 2 टुकड़े बना के आधा बेड एक कमरे में रखें, आधा दूसरे कमरे में रखें। आप एक कमरे में उसके लिए जगह बनाते हैं। जगह कैसे बनाते हैं? यू रीऑर्गनाइज़ योर थिंग्स, ठीक है? सो डिस्क डिफ्रैगमेंटर ऐसे ही करता है। वो हार्ड ड्राइव को रीऑर्गनाइज़ कर देता है। ऐसे तरीके से कि फाइल्स को एक जगह पे रखने की जगह बन जाए, ठीक है? तो उससे आपका जो सिस्टम होता है ख़ासकर डिस्क के हवाले से उसको वो ऑप्टिमाइज़ हो जाता है, उसकी परफॉर्मेंस जो है वो अच्छी हो जाती है। सो यू कैन एक्सेस ऑल दीज़ टूल्स एंड यू कैन यूज़ देम फ्रॉम हियर, ठीक है? यू शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ दीज़ टूल्स कि ये आपके पास अवेलेबल हैं। अच्छा, लेट्स गेट बैक। So this is disk defragmented. Disk cleanup again, ये temporary files आप अपनी उस पे भी देखते हैं, phones पे भी, स्मार्टफोन्स पे भी you can run डिस्क क्लीन अप या मेमोरी को आप जो है उसको क्लीन कर सकते हैं. So when you access the internet, there are temporary files that are stored on your computer. तो आप उनको डिलीट कर सकते हैं. टेम्प्रेरी सिस्टम फाइल्स वो क्रिएट होती हैं. टेम्प्रेरी डेटा, कुकीज़ एंड ऑल दिस इंफॉर्मेशन दे आर स्टोर्ड ऑन योर कंप्यूटर. तो आप उनको जो है वो रिमूव कर सकते हैं. ओके, देन देयर आर अदर सॉफ्टवेयर स्क्रीन सेवर्स. यूजुअली आपकी स्क्रीन पे अगर आप मुसलसल एक ही चीज़ को, स्टैटिक इमेजेस को देखते हैं तो उससे स्क्रीन ख़राब हो सकती है. ठीक है, तो पुरानी जो स्क्रीन्स होती थी एक ही पॉइंट पे एक ही किस्म की चीज़ें बस दिखाई दे रही तो स्क्रीन को सेव करने के लिए कुछ देर बाद मूविंग इमेजेस उस पे डाल दिए जाते ताकि स्क्रीन पे कॉन्स्टेंटली डिफरेंट इमेजेस स्टोर हों. तो दैट इज़ स्क्रीन सेवर सॉफ्टवेयर. फाइल कंप्रेशन, अगेन ये अवेलेबल है आपके पास. मैं आपको इसकी भी एक एग्जांपल दे देता हूँ. आप अपनी फाइल्स को कंप्रेस कर सकते हैं डायरेक्टली. ठीक है ना. तो से फॉर एग्जांपल यहाँ पे हम आते हैं जी. लेट मी क्रिएट अ न्यू फोल्डर. इसको हम नाम दे देते हैं कि जी ये दिस इज़ टेस्ट फोल्डर. ठीक है. अच्छा, टेस्ट फोल्डर में हम एक फ़ाइल डाल देते हैं. लेट अस कॉल दैट फाइल, लेट दैट बी अ टेक्स्ट फाइल. ठीक है ना. दिस इज़ अ टेक्स्ट फाइल. अच्छा, इसमें हम कुछ डेटा वेटा, कोई डमी सा डेटा जो है ना वो स्टोर कर लेते हैं. इसको मैंने सेव कर लिया. अच्छा, नाउ कम हियर. अब ये टेस्ट फोल्डर है, इसको मैं कंप्रेस करना चाहता हूँ. कंप्रेस का मतलब इसका साइज़ मैं रिड्यूस करना चाहता हूँ. इसका मे बी इतना साइज़ रिड्यूस ना हो, बट अगर आपके पास बड़े फोल्डर्स हैं और आप उनको साइज़ उनका रिड्यूस करना चाहते हैं तो वो आप कर सकते हैं. इसका साइज़ फ़िलहाल 83 बाइट्स है. इसका इतना कम नहीं होगा. बस आई जस्ट वांट टू डेमोन्स्ट्रेट कि विंडोज़ आपको ये टूल देता है कि आप इसको कंप्रेस कर सकते हैं. अच्छा, तो एक तो मैंने यहाँ पे सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल किया हुआ WinRAR. दिस इज़ अ फ्री सॉफ्टवेयर, आप इसको इंस्टॉल कर सकते हैं. लेकिन आपको विंडोज़ भी ये फैसिलिटी देता है. अगर आप इस फ़ोल्डर पे राइट क्लिक करें, ठीक है, एंड देन यू से सेंड टू कंप्रेस्ड फ़ोल्डर. ठीक है, तो ये इसको ऑटोमेटिकली कंप्रेस कर देगा. तो ये वो कंप्रेस्ड फ़ोल्डर बन गया. ठीक है, मैंने इसको सेंड कर दिया टू कंप्रेस्ड फ़ोल्डर और ये कंप्रेस्ड फ़ोल्डर बन गया. अच्छा, एक और एग्जांपल देख लेते हैं. ये 723 MB है. दिस इज़ 124 MB. अच्छा, ये क्या है? दिस इज़ 281 MB. अच्छा, सबका साइज़ बहुत ज़्यादा है. दिस इज़ also a lot. But this is what I wanted to demonstrate कि आपके पास there is a free compression tool inside Windows. तो वो आपको फाइल्स को कंप्रेस कर देता है, उनका साइज़ रिड्यूस कर देता है. ठीक है, तो आप ये एक फ़ाइल है, इसको अब आप कॉपी कर सकते हैं. इससे अगर आपने एक्सट्रैक्ट करना हो, निकालना हो तो आप इसको एक्सट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं. यू कैन से एक्सट्रैक्ट, यानी इसमें से जो भी फाइल्स आपने स्टोर की हुई हैं यू कैन एक्सट्रैक्ट दोज फाइल्स. ठीक है, वो आप निकाल सकते हैं. आप अगर कहें एक्सट्रैक्ट टू टेस्ट, तो टेस्ट फोल्डर में इनको एक्सट्रैक्ट कर दिया जाता है. ठीक है, तो ये जो टेक्स्ट फाइल उसमें थी वो एक्सट्रैक्ट करके निकाल के यहाँ डाल दिया आपके लिए. अच्छा, सो दिस वाज कंप्रेशन. ये कंप्रेशन के टूल्स भी आपके पास विंडोज़ में या ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम यूजुअली आपको प्रोवाइड करता है. देन मेंटेनेंस के लिए टूल्स. तो ये बहुत सारे जो टूल्स हैं ना, अ, बहुत सारे ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम के कंपोनेंट्स जो हैं उनको आप पीसी मेंटेनेंस में उनको आप डाल सकते हैं. ठीक है, जैसे डिस्क क्लीनअप, डिस्क डीफ्रेगमेंटर, एंड देन एरर चेकिंग ऑन योर हार्ड ड्राइव. और इसके अलावा डिस्क पे एरर्स को चेक करना, ये डिस्क पे जो डेटा है उसका बैकअप एंड रिस्टोर. सो ऑल ऑफ दीज they can come into the category of PC maintenance and all that. देन पावर मैनेजमेंट भी ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम आपको ये फंक्शन भी प्रोवाइड करता है. यू कैन पुट योर सिस्टम टू स्लीप एंड हाइबरनेशन एंड ऑल दैट. ठीक है, सो यू शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ ऑल दीज फंक्शंस. और आपको चाहिए कि आप देखें कि ये कहाँ कहाँ पे आप यूज़ कर सकते हैं. सो आई होप लाइक फाइल मैनेजर, दिस इज़ योर फाइल मैनेजर. ठीक है, अगेन मुझे यहाँ से बार बार बाहर जाना पड़ता है. दिस इज़ आवर फाइल मैनेजर, विंडोज़ एक्सप्लोरर फॉर एग्जांपल. ठीक है, सो इट टेल्स यू अबाउट आपके सिस्टम पे जो भी फिज़िकल ड्राइव्स हैं, लॉजिकल ड्राइव्स हैं. तो सी एक ही हार्ड डिस्क है हमारे सिस्टम पे फ़िलहाल. उसमें ये हमने दो ड्राइव्स क्रिएट की हैं, सी ड्राइव और ई ड्राइव। दीज आर लॉजिकल ड्राइव्स, ठीक है। फिजिकली ये एक ही हार्ड ड्राइव है, उस पर ये दो लॉजिकल डिविजन्स हमने बनाई हुई हैं। दिस इज़ अनदर ड्राइव फिजिकल, ये है डीवीडी ड्राइव। इसको मैंने क्लिक किया तो मेरी डीवीडी ड्राइव का जो ट्रे है वो बाहर आ गया, ठीक है, बट देयर इज़ नो डीवीडी ड्राइव इनसाइड। So this is basically the file explorer. आप इस पे सर्च भी कर सकते हैं फाइल्स को, अगर आपने सर्च करना है, so you can enter कि आप क्या सर्च करना चाहते हैं, ठीक है। So say for example I want to search for say notification, ठीक है, मैंने ऑलरेडी सर्च किया हुआ है। So anything with the word notification, ठीक है, वो ये ढूंढ के मुझे निकाल के दे देगा, ठीक है। So search facility, it also comes with operating systems. So you should be aware of these tools and facilities. Acha ji, some operating systems are designed to work with a server on network. So network of computers may you connect different computers together, and usually the network is a client server network. There is one computer, a very powerful computer, which has all the shared resources connected to it directly. So that computer is called the server computer, ठीक है। तो सर्वर कंप्यूटर जो है बाज़ ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम्स होते हैं विच आर डिज़ाइन टू वर्क विद अ सर्वर ऑन कंप्यूटर, ठीक है, सर्वर ऑन नेटवर्क। तो वो सर्वर के लिए डिज़ाइंड होते हैं कि दे कैन वर्क एज सर्वर सॉफ्टवेयर और सर्वर ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम फॉर अ सर्वर ऑन अ नेटवर्क, ठीक है। These operating systems are usually multi-user operating systems. Multiple users can log into that operating systems at the same time from different physical devices, ठीक है। And there are resources. For example, the server is connected to a printer. There's one printer and there are 50 other computers that want to use that printer. The server is connected to the internet, ठीक है, and all those 50 computers connected to the server want to access the internet. The server has huge hard drive and every user wants to store his or her data on the server, so it has files. And then there are programs. In Pakistan, we don't care about privacy and all these things, but privacy is an important concern. So usually organizations, they buy license for a software and they install that software on a server computer, and users can then access or run that सॉफ्टवेयर ऑन द सर्वर, ठीक है, उसी सर्वर पे उसको रन करते हैं, ना कि उसको इंस्टॉल करते हैं अपने डेस्कटॉप पे, तो ऐसा वो नहीं कर सकते, ठीक है। So this is what they do. Then in such an environment जिसमें we have a network of computers and there are client computers that are connected to a server and they want to access different services on the server, usually there is a network administrator. There is a person who administers the network, ठीक है, and वो that person requires a server operating system, ठीक है। तो वो क्या करता है उस server operating system के ज़रिए, the network administrator can add or remove users, computers and other devices. So not every device can connect to the server, not every user can connect to the server. Network administrator has the powers to add user accounts, remove user accounts, add computers, remove computers. So the network administrator can do all these things, add devices, remove devices. Then the network administrator can configure the network, install software, uh, take different measures to implement network security and all that. Okay? In order to be able to be on the network, you need a user account. The network administrator gives you that user account. The user account enables a user to sign into or access resources on that network or computer. Okay, so you can also think about, for example, Google as a huge network. Okay, so whenever you can access that network using the internet, you are provided with an interface when you say mail.google.com. So basically, what you're doing essentially is you're logging into one of Google's server. Okay, so you are a remote user who is logging into Google server, and you are using different software using your login. आप गूगल के जो सॉफ्टवेयर है ना, शीट्स और उनके जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स डॉक्स वगैरह का जो सॉफ्टवेयर है, एंड देन स्लाइड्स, यू कैन यूज़ ऑल दो सॉफ्टवेयर You can use their mail software जिसके ज़रिए आप अपने email को send कर सकते हैं, receive कर सकते हैं. You can access your files there. Google also provides you with uh, a drive, a virtual drive, so you have around 15 GB or something like that space. ठीक है? So the user account requires you that you should have a user ID or username and a password. ठीक है? So the user password and user ID, they allow you to log into that account and network and access all those facilities. So on a grand scale, you can think of it like that. जो कि जिनको जिनको आजकल हम cloud services भी कहते हैं. Facebook पे आपका एक account है. OneDrive पे भी you can have an account, and using that account you access the network of Microsoft and Facebook and Google and all that. ठीक है? So you can create it on a limited scale inside your organization as well. So inside our department, we can have a local area network with a server with all these user accounts where you can log in, you can access the printer and all that. ठीक है? Right now we don't have that, but these are all possibilities that we can have. Okay, so most multi-user operating systems allow users to sign in. So these are different users that have already signed in from this particular computer into an operating system that allows multiple users to sign in. ठीक है? So most multi-user operating allow each user to sign in, which is the process. And so whenever you say sign in, so you basically enter your username and password. Uh, Acha. And single user operating systems, like using that you can limit access to an entire device. ठीक है? But multi-user passwords, they do not limit to access to a single device. So this might be a single computer, but this computer is part of a network. That network has a server, and on that server, different users have accounts, valid accounts. So those users can access this computer. All those users can access this computer because this computer is connected to a server and they have accounts on that server. ठीक है? In a single user operating system, you can limit access to a computer. यानी एक इंडिविजुअल कंप्यूटर को सिर्फ एक बंदा ही फिर एक्सेस कर सकता है या वो बंदे जिनका उस कंप्यूटर पे अकाउंट है, नेटवर्क पे नहीं. But if this computer is connected to a network with a server and different users have accounts on that server, फिर इस कंप्यूटर पे एक्सेस को आप लिमिट नहीं कर सकते. They can always access this computer, use this computer by accessing the server on the network to which this computer is connected. ठीक है? Asha, these are the examples of different operating systems. In the desktop operating system category, the operating systems that are used for desktop, we have Windows, we have Mac OS, we have Unix, we have Linux, we have Chrome OS. So you might have heard about Chromebooks. So Chromebooks are not tabs, they are not smartphones, they are closer to desktop computers, and Chrome OS is used on those Chromebooks. You're familiar with Windows. I'm not sure whether you have had interaction with Mac OS or not. Maybe some of you have used MacBooks or come across them. And I'm not sure about Linux as well, whether you might have heard about the name Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is one very popular flavor of the Linux operating system. It is available for free. You can get it, you can download it for free and you can use it. You also get the source of it, the source code of this operating system. So if you're good enough, you can change that operating system and create a new one. Okay, so this is the beauty of Unix. Unix is an open source operating system. Windows is proprietary. You do not get access to the source code of Windows. Mac OS is proprietary. You do not get access to the source code of Mac OS. ठीक है? ये access Apple के पास है, ये Microsoft के पास है. Linux and Unix, these are free. I guess Chrome OS is also open source and free. These two are ओपन सोर्स. ठीक है? इसका आइडिया यही था कि ये इसका सोर्स कोड अवेलेबल हो सबको ताकि अगर वो चेंज करना चाहें तो वो कर सकें. For the server category, we have the Windows Server, uh, which wasn't that popular. Nowadays, it is more stable, so people might be using it. But before that, we had the Linux was the go-to operating system for servers. ठीक है? We also have Mac OS server version. We have Unix, and then there used to be Sun. Solaris, which was also a version of Unix. So Solaris was another server operating system. Might not be that, I guess people do not use it that much because the company Sun Microsystems, that was it was dissolved, and Solaris servers, they all went away with it. Uh, on the mobile front, you are all aware of Google Android. Most of you might have Android devices. So Android is basically an operating system. Again, Android is open source. You have access to the source code of the Android operating system. Okay. Apple iOS is the operating system for iPhones and iPads. It is proprietary. We do not have access to its source code, like it is controlled by Apple. Windows Mobile Edition is also proprietary software. Android is for tabs and phones and TVs, and so right now you have Android music players and Android television sets, so it is used on different devices. Okay, so this is an operating system not just for mobiles. It is an operating system for smart TVs. It is an operating system for music systems. Okay, so we can have another category here: smart TVs and music systems and all that. These are examples of desktop operating systems, and desktop operating systems are designed to work on desktops and laptops and maybe some tablets. So Windows, for example, so Windows, one version of Windows, it is for Windows Phone and sorry, designed for phones and tablets as well. I guess Microsoft Surface tabs, they use the Windows operating system. Okay, and the Windows 10, I guess after Windows 8, the Windows operating system was designed in a way that it can be used on with touch screens or tabs for that matter. Okay, so latest version of Windows and almost all these operating system, it has these features. It allows you to use tiles to access apps. Now, what is tile? Tiles are basically like images, and you can just click on those images and you will be taken to Windows Store to access those apps. It has a desktop interface. We look at all these things in an image. It has input via touch, mouse, and keyboard. So you can use touch screens, you can use mouse, you can use keyboard with it. It comes with standard apps. It comes with a browser, Microsoft Edge. It comes with a calendar app and email app, I guess Microsoft Outlook, so you can have it. Uh, it can be used for synchronizing, like you can have a OneDrive account. Microsoft will, I guess, give you some free storage space there, and you can upload your files and photos and settings to your OneDrive account. This would be on the cloud, Microsoft cloud infrastructure, and you can use it to synchronize these things among different devices. Okay, so when you access your cloud account, you can access all your files and photos on multiple devices from which you log in. It comes with its own antivirus software, a firewall. Firewall basically limits access to your computer, and it is for protection in a network. When you are connected to a network, so a firewall protects you on the network from unauthorized access. Okay, so you can limit different applications on your system. You can limit them from communicating to outside programs, and similarly you can limit access from outside as well. So this comes for free with Microsoft Windows nowadays, and automatic updates, we looked at that. Then Windows Stores offers additional applications. Some of them might be free, some of them might be available for purchase. So we look at the images, but let me show you here. Like if you click on the start button, these are the tiles. Okay, these are the different apps that are available on Microsoft Store. So if I click on Microsoft Store, I'll be taken directly to Microsoft. This is the weather app. So right now it shows me the weather in the particular region that it thinks that I am in. The calendar app, alarm clocks, the games, Microsoft Edge. If I go and I install, so I can, I guess, change this area. I can customize what I can see here on these tiles. This is start menu, and these are tiles. This is the start menu. This is my desktop. This here is my desktop. Okay, this area is my desktop. So basically the computers or the Windows operating system, got all the analogy from the way things were at offices. So in office, people have a desk, and then each desk has a top, and then different things are organized. There are folders and those folders contain files. These analogies, these terms come from that. These are icons. These small images, they are icons. This is an icon. This is an icon. This is an icon. I can click on an icon. I can select it. I can right click on it and get a context sensitive menu. So this menu that you get on a right click, this is a context sensitive menu. So it changes depending upon what type of thing you click. So we click this thing, so we got that menu. If I right click on the recycle bin, I'll get a different menu. The menu changes as the context changes. Okay, so these are icons. This here is the taskbar. It shows the tasks that I'm currently running. So I'm currently running Windows system task, the settings task, the task manager, the OBS Studio, PowerPoint, and Mozilla Firefox. So I'm running all these tasks right now. So the taskbar shows me all these tasks. This is the system notification area. I get all the notifications here. Right now I don't have any. It was also called as the system tray. So here you can see the different things or options available to you. Here you can search. This is the start button. Okay. Okay, let's resume. So these are different things that we talked about. Okay, now let you can look at it later. I'll upload the handouts as well. Uh, okay, so what does this say? When you run an app in Windows, it may appear on an on-screen work area app called desktop. So all the apps that we run, they appear on the desktop. So you can maximize an app, you can minimize an app, and you can close it. So we have all these options available to us. When you run an app, this is what you see. The app opens a window. This is basically a window. And this is the standard interface that you'll come across or see in different apps. So you have this ribbon, and each ribbon has multiple tabs, and a tab has multiple buttons. Okay. So ribbon consists of tabs, and then there are groups inside the tab. Different types of commands are grouped together. You can click on each command and it will do something for you. You have the minimize button, the maximize button. Minimize minimizes it, and you see the window on the taskbar. Then nothing appears on the desktop. Maximize maximizes to occupy the full screen. Close closes the window. You usually have a help button. This is the title bar, which displays the name of the program and the file name. This is the status bar, which gives you which basically shows different information regarding the document or different status of the keys or commands and all these things. This is the scroll bar. You usually see the scroll bar on either side of the windows, both sides. Sorry, on along the vertical and the horizontal directions. You can see these scroll bars if the file is or images are too big to fit. So you have these scroll bars to scroll through different parts of the image. This is taskbar. We talked about it. This is the notification area. So I guess we have talked about all of these things. Recycle bin is used for keeping the files that you've deleted. Okay. So I guess this is fine. We have covered these things. So this is again a repeat of the same information. Nothing new here. Maybe it is clearly readable. These things are clearly readable here. This is how it looks on the Macintosh or Mac operating system. Okay. So the Mac operating system, this is your dock. It contains icons, and you can use these icons to launch applications. It also displays minimize windows, and you can also access documents here. Uh, Okay. Then whenever you open a window, so you can see the menu of the window here at the top. This is the notification area. It is at the top. It is, you can move its position, but usually it is at the top. This is the desktop. It displays items, windows, folders, and icons. Uh, this is the like whenever you whenever you click on a particular app, so its menu appears here. So there are different menus, standard menus. The file menu allows you to open file, close file, print a file, and then there is the edit menu. It allows you to copy and move things around. The view menu allows you to change things. The help menu, it allows you to access or get help while using your program. The position of the close button, minimize and maximize button, or restore button, it is also different than Windows. So this is the Mac OS. So people who have used it, they might be aware of this interface. Then this is the HP Matrix operating environment. So this basically is used for setting up a cloud environment. So this is based on the Unix operating system. Um, and this basically is used for using infrastructure as a service, IaaS. I guess we briefly talked about it in our earlier lectures. You might not come across it, but you should be aware of these things. That right now, different organizations, they can set up their own clouds, or they may be using the cloud infrastructure of any other any other commercial organization that provides cloud services. So one of the tools used for setting up the cloud infrastructure of by those organizations is this HP Matrix operating environment. So this is also an operating system. Okay, this is also an example of an operating system. And similarly, we have the Linux operating system. The Linux operating system uses a similar graphical user interface. It is very popular. It is free. You have the source code of the operating system available to you, uh, and it is very stable. It is based on the Unix operating system. Unix was a server operating system, and it was very stable, and uh, it was almost always used by organizations to run their servers. This is an example of the Chrome OS. Again, it is a Linux-based operating system, and it is designed to work primarily with web apps. So you don't have mostly on the Chrome OS you have web-based applications. So it is almost always connected to the internet, to the cloud, to the Google Cloud. You have space on the Google Cloud where you can store your documents and all that. And you install different apps, web apps on your Chromebook, and you can access those web apps through your browser, the Chrome browser. So again, this operating system is based upon the Linux operating system. So these are examples of different operating systems. Server operating systems, we have the Windows Server operating system. These are just examples, like we are not going into a lot of details of those operating systems. Windows operating systems comes with a graphical user interface. Usually the Linux server and the Unix server, they have a command line or CLI interface, command line interface mostly. So servers mm, they they do not need to use a graphical user interface. So that's why they servers are more about performance, and that's why Unix and Linux, they mostly come without a graphical user interface. You can install a graphical user interface on these server operating systems, but usually network administrators who use Unix and Linux based servers, they like the command line interface more for these servers. The Windows Server, it comes with a graphical user interface, and similarly Mac OS Server, I guess it also comes with a graphical user interface. But these are all the options available to you for using as operating systems. These are all the options of operating systems available to you for using on servers. And then mobile operating systems, again, since most of us, we use either smartphones or tabs or devices like these. So it is important that we cover these devices as well. All these devices, uh, they come with their own version of operating system, and those operating systems are called mobile operating systems. There are two very popular flavors of those. One is the Android operating system. It is an open source operating system that was designed by Google. You have access to the source code of it, and like it can be changed and all that. And then there is iOS, which is used on Apple's iPhones and iPads and iPods and all these devices. So we have these two very popular devices available to us. There was the Windows Mobile Phone Edition. It was used on Nokia smartphones, and then Lumia smartphones, I guess. I'm not sure whether it is still used in that. Maybe it is used on existing devices, but there are no Windows phone devices, new devices that come with the Windows of operating Windows Phone operating system. The mobile operating system, as we mentioned earlier, it resides on a firmware. It permanently resides on a ROM. Okay, and that ROM is comes on the device. So you when you want to update it, so you have to go for a firmware update. Okay, so when you say I have an iPhone with 32 GB memory, so that means the size of the firmware is 32 GB. The size of the ROM is 32 GB. Part of that ROM is used as firmware, where the operating system permanently resides, and the operating system is loaded from that firmware into the RAM for execution. Okay, that is how it happens. So this is an example of Android. It is used on smartphones and tablets. It is open source. The source code is available to you. It is based on Linux. It was designed by Google, and it is used for smartphones, tablets, smart TVs, uh, and music players on your cars and all that. Okay? So it is extensively used on different devices. Then we have the iOS. It is proprietary. Proprietary means it is not available for free. We do not have access to its source code. It was developed by Apple, and it is used on the iOS iPads and iPhones and iPods. So it is used on all these devices. Then we have the Windows Mobile Edition. So Windows Mobile Edition was available on my phones, smartphones first made by Nokia, and then I guess Microsoft acquired that division, and then Microsoft launched the Lumia phones, Nokia Lumia, and then I'm forgetting things here, but this was one of the mobile operating systems available, and but right now it's not that popular. Right now, there are only two major competitors that we have. One is Android, the other is iOS. And again, as you might have experienced, the interface that you see in a mobile operating system and that you see on a desktop operating system, they have different differences. Okay, so on the mobile operating system, like you have these different security options that are available to you in order to limit access to your mobile device. On a desktop operating system, you have similar measures available, but they are slightly different. Like you do not have those knock codes or those patrons and those pin codes and all that. You have passwords, and then the security settings and the connectivity settings. And here, since you are connected to the mobile network, and the mobile network uh, charges you for data. So here you are more conscious about, and the mobile lets you put a limit on the amount of data that you're using. So these differences you might experience on your mobile operating system and on your desktop operating system. On the mobile operating system, you're more cautious of your battery, which app is using how much battery, which app is using how much data, and all that. So I hope like you have experienced these differences, you know about them. So, in summary, in this lecture, we talked about different operating systems. We talked about the functions of operating systems. We looked at different desktop operating systems, server operating systems, and mobile operating systems. So, I hope you will have an understanding and appreciation of the different operating systems that we have. In the next lectures, inshallah, we'll cover application software, especially Microsoft Office application suite. So we'll talk about that. Till then, Allah Hafiz. Let me stop recording.